wondering how you're planning to address that. Obviously, you're coming to the neighborhood, and asking about their specific neighborhood, but the areas that this phase two is going to cover are so vastly different. So I'm just wondering how that is going to be addressed. Thank you.
Good, thank you, Axel, I appreciate that. You know, we're starting phase two with, you know, with these community conversations. And just to be straight with everyone, it's going to evolve. And the reason it's going to evolve is because it is a different approach, it is different issues. We want to start working with the neighborhood association, homeowners association, going from neighborhood to neighborhood to see, number one, what the specific issues are there, and also to gather and see if there are overlapping themes. There's overlapping concerns, because that brings, you know, if we hear that, it brings that issue to the forefront and, you know, creates priorities of how we need to address it. And then, you know, as we have the larger public workshops and as these community conversations evolve, and as I mentioned earlier, if we move forward with the consultant team, we're going to take that outreach firm's advice and evolve this so we can grow it, because there are not only geographic areas that we're looking at, you know, just different cultural groups as well, and different age groups. You know, the first phase, we spoke with the Portuguese community, we hosted one in Asian. We tried a couple of attempts with Spanish speaking community. And we need to take a different approach to that, but this time around, you know, we want to speak with youth. We want to have one that's focused on senior issues, because it's important, because those are more targeted specific issues. In terms of geographic approach, we want to listen to each neighborhood first and see if there are any themes. And then when we'll be able to synthesize those with the consultant team. And then once we get to this phase's groups of public workshops, we can highlight those issues and really kind of dive in, do a deeper dive on that. And take all that information, synthesize it, take information we got from the first phase, because there are themes that were in the first phase that, you know, kind of can be in either the first phase or second phase. Everyone cares about economic development, and this larger economic development issues that just now we focus downtown, that we can, and then we can just work and finalize that down. Hope that.
All right, so let's jump into the first exercise. So we're gonna take 5 minutes for you to think about housing. And it could be housing in your neighborhood or your block, or it could be housing, you know, as we said before, people have already given their opinion about downtown. We're looking at housing in the different areas of Mount Vernon. So we want you to think of it this way. Do you see a challenge or an issue that needs to be resolved? Or do you have an idea or an opportunity that you want to be included in the comprehensive plan, in the draft of the comprehensive plan? So those are the two questions. So we're gonna take 2 minutes for you to write down any idea or challenge around housing, any thoughts about current conditions or future conditions that you want to see. And after those 2 minutes, if you want to speak at your table, you can, but we'll also go back to the tables to see if anybody has some ideas or some challenges that they want to share. We're gonna time it, so we're gonna try to get you out of your time. And, you know, with housing, we're thinking about housing types, affordability, density. These are the types of ideas. And you can have more than one sticky note. If you like, put the number one on it, so we know that it's gonna be topic number one, and then the staff is gonna go around and pick it up from your table. Again, we're looking at housing types, affordability, that's. All right, so we are seeing a lot of folks writing, we like that. Anybody would like to share ideas or challenges regarding housing? And it could be something in the neighborhood or something, you know, in another neighborhood. Raise your hand. I'd like to speak on that.
Hello, I have a question. What are you gonna do about senior housing for the older people who live in the area of Fleetwood and also around now, but Fleetwood area does not have a senior housing building at all. These seniors, they need to live in this area also because we have stores and they can go shopping. The pharmacies, the food market, when you plan on doing that?
So thank you for that question. I hope you wrote that down. So today, we're collecting questions and challenges. You know, part of what the consultant and is going to do is that they're gonna synthesize this information. We are going to have public workshops where we bring this information back so that the residents can say, you're headed in the right direction with what you're proposing, or you need to adjust, you need to go in another direction. But to your question, so we're not, tonight, we're not providing answers to a lot of the questions because we're here to gather data. And that, you know, it's important to note that part of the process is that, you know, we don't want to give you a gut of what we, although, you know, we are the planning department and we deal with those issues. What we're here to do tonight is to gather data, questions, challenges. And our consultant is gonna help to synthesize that out of your concern is where we're gonna, you know, come up with recommendations using, you know, planning principles, but I see that.
Yeah, just quickly, to jump off what Lisa Medina is saying, you know, we're not gonna go anything in project specific. You know, there is a proposed senior housing development for Gramercy Avenue. We're not gonna go into that detail. We could have, you know, outside of this forum conversation about it, but, you know, hearing that is important because the city does have a senior overlay zone, but it's kind of here, there, and everywhere, and it's kind of more like spot zoning. And so hearing this, you know, informs us that, well, maybe we need to take a different approach, you know, to ensure that there's more seniors.
All right. Anybody else has a comment? Hold on.
I don't need it.
It's important.
Oh, yeah, no, but we're recording. We're recording. You might need to make this so we capture the audio.
Mount Vernon is a city of houses or homes, okay? Question, you can't answer it. Are there gonna be numerous high rises being brought into Mount Vernon, like New Rochelle and other areas, especially like this one on 42 Broad?
Thank you for that. So these are the kind of questions we want to and need to hear. So, during the first phase, we heard a lot about that is, you know, people were concerned about, you know, looking like New Rochelle. We're not New Rochelle. We actually heard both pros and cons regarding 42 Broad all over the city. That's what I'm saying. You know, we go into different neighborhoods and like, what's up with that? Some of them like, oh, that's great, we need more of that, and some folks are just like, that's the last thing I want to see in my neighborhood. So these are the things like we need here, like where development is appropriate. When we had started this process, we knew that there would be some, some additional density downtown, just because there's a lack of, immediate population along South Fourth and Bremerton, immediately around the train stations, and so trying to change that. But one thing we heard is that we don't want 50-story buildings. And so in discussion with city council and the mayor, what kind of already exists down there. It's just kind of like you have like the Saratoga, which is 22 stories, and so we were working around that. We worked around that, and it's kind of like, all right, that should be like, we look at that as a ceiling there. But once we go into the neighborhoods, more focused on scale. What's existing, every neighborhood, every neighborhood should take its fair share when the city grows, but at the same time, it's growing the right way. We recognize that, it's not gonna be a collection of 42 roads everywhere around here, but, what would be appropriate if there was to be, housing development, whether it's small apartment buildings, townhouses, that, attached row houses, just kind of different, just different thoughts, and that's kind of like what, we'll need to hear.
All right, so last comment, because we're moving on to the next topic.
I'm not sure if you'll be able to answer this, but should we anticipate an influx of asylum seekers coming to Mount Vernon that may impact the housing inventory?
So, great question. Did you write it down? All right, so we'll consider that. So the next topic that we're gonna deal with is open space, but also raise your hand if you still have a sticky that you need us to pick up.
For housing?
For housing, yes. And so the next topic that we're gonna write on is open space. So open space is parks, trees, greenways, vacant lots. Even if it's not green, it's an open space. And again, you gotta think about, is there a challenge? Is there an issue? Is there an opportunity? And, is this something that is, in your area, on your block? Or if it's something that, something that you've noticed someplace else in the city, is there vacant space somewhere that you wish to see something in that area? So I'm gonna take a couple of minutes, write down your idea, your challenge, the opportunity around open space. All right, so there's a difference between a park and a playground. With playgrounds, our recreation department manages those, and you have playgrounds for teenagers, toddlers, or not toddlers, infants. So is that?
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, so there's different definition for playgrounds, and then, with parks, you have passive parks, we have some areas where you can walk, we have a pool. That's a county park.
So a hybrid situation would be Holly Park, it's a playground and there's a park in one area. So the playground would have all the apparatuses for the kids, but that would be the playground. The park would be the outside greenery where people are sitting on benches, walking, the little fitness court and stuff like that.
Something we used to say in phase one is, think about when you've traveled and you thought about, wow, this is something I would love to see in Mount Vernon. So, ideas can also come from your experiences, as we said, speak from your experience, and if there's something that, you think that we should have in Mount Vernon, write it down. So, would anyone like to speak on ideas about parks, playgrounds, or cafes?
Anybody else?
First, I just have a question. Wondered why the trees along Central Parkway, they were all cut down.
I'll give you a quick answer. Is that by the highway?
Yes,
So those were diseased and people were, so our tree surgeon was afraid that limbs will fall onto the highway, so they cut them down because there's a disease that was, that affected that whole one.
because I was scared
Yeah.
to see all those trees just disappear. So I think the trees are important here in my neighborhood. But I want to know how we can, you know, examine them, check them in a timely way, take care of them, to make sure that, you know, these things don't happen, like that.
Did you write that down? 'Cause that's part of additional services that the city will do, all services that they're doing. Hold on, 1, 2.
They're replanting those trees.
Yeah.
Trees have been ordered and they're replanting.
They're replanting.
Open space.
All right, so what else?
It's okay.
Yes.
Regarding community gardens, I see a lack of commitment on the part of the city to promote community gardens. We had one going on Fourth Avenue in a vacant lot. It was very successful. And then DPW just came and swept up our buckets, and now it's just overgrown like a jungle. I have 2 community gardens going on right now, one at Webster Towers, one behind my wife's church, and I'm negotiating with Wartburg to have a community garden there, but I don't see no commitment from the city besides lip service. I have a concept called concrete gardens. You don't need grass, you don't have to plant into the ground, just put containers up. But it has to be a commitment, and it fits right in with your sustainability.
That's a great idea. Did you write that down? All right, one more comment and then we'll move on to the next topic.
Yeah, so I live right in Huntsville here, and there are just 2, well, immediately, I know there was an issue about, in phase 1, about trying to cover the cut for the Metro North, which is complex because it's gonna have a lot of traffic. But I'm from Seattle, and I don't know if you know what the viaduct is, but it was a 2-story above ground. My kid brother's a civil engineer for Seattle. They buried it, right? I mean, they got rid of it and they dug underneath and put the freeway underground, so it connected the waterfront to the city. And right out here in Cross County, it's like constant noise, constant pollution, and it's already underground, which is the most expensive part, right? So here, you don't have as many of the traffic issues, the Metro North issues, like you have, this is a parkway with no trucks. And you could just span the cut right here. And then a lot of the apartments at a density that you want to put in here that are gonna go in. Because the only way to reduce property taxes is to increase the number of people who are paying into the property taxes. That gives an open space for people and reconnects the neighborhoods. So, and then the other thing is, in Huntswood's Park, I really feel like it needs to be like clear. There's a lot of like just overgrowth and undergrowth that hasn't been cleared. And I feel like you could make the paths more navigable, less dangerous, better flows. If you've ever walked all the way to Bronxville, you said we have to cross the.
We said challenge of the on each other.
Anyways, there are no railings on the bridges. You have to cross the stream to get over to Bronxville, walk on top of rocks. My wife would never do it. And could have much better flow of stormwater and stabilize the stream bank. I mean, it could be cool like a miracle with Central Park.
So thank you. So here's what we're gonna do. So, there's, like I said before, there's some topics that are gonna, have more energy than others. But the second half hour of this exercise, you'll have a chance to go to each of the stations and continue that conversation. So thank you all for those comments. And if you have a comment and we didn't get to you, there's gonna be a chance when we go to the station. So the next topic is transportation. And the transportation, we're thinking about pedestrians, cyclists, and car owners. Let's say motorists, car owners. And, now we have, electric bikes, which move at a faster pace. And so, again, you're thinking about, do you see an opportunity? Do you see a challenge? Have you seen something in another city that maybe the city of Mount Vernon can do? And as the commissioner said earlier, what does transportation look like in the neighborhoods? What does transportation look like in the retail areas? What does transportation look like in Sanford Boulevard, which is, you know, a 4-lane roadway? We're gonna take a couple of minutes to give folks time to write, then we'll come to comments.
I would like to take it a little bit differently than the pedestrian traffic and the automobile traffic. I would like to address, thank you.
I would like to address the MTA and the station in Fleetwood. It is in terrible condition. The fencing along the Queston Parkway is eroded, corroded, and disgusting. It's posted with signs. And the Fleetwood station, if you go to any other municipality, the stations are lovely. Ours looks like it's been abandoned by the MTA for years.
So conditions and wayfinding meaning like, how the heck do I get here? What's a safe way to get here is important. That's signage, you know, easily accessible walkways, so please include that as well. Like with buses, like, you know, bus stops, the quality of bus stops, stations, you know, traffic flows with buses and such can be included.
Even down to the bus shelters where you stand and wait for the bus to come.
So I,
All right, comments? 1 second.
because Fleetwood was brought up, because that was one of my issues. What we see in other cities and other towns is a reduced speed limit. So my question, Parkway can go down to 25 miles per hour. And right now, there aren't any crosswalks. There used to be crosswalks there, they're gone. And there are businesses there that park their cars illegally on both sides of that road. So it's become a transportation danger and a pedestrian danger. So I think that, and not just Fleetwood, that should be for all our train stations, because we use our train stations when we want to develop Mount Vernon. So the first thing that we should do is have a train station like other places do. So I would suggest maybe looking into reduced speed and putting in those crosswalks, and certainly going after the MTA for their portion of the train station that needs to be fixed.
So thank you. So if you're adding a comment, so that was very specific about the 25 miles per hour. Kindly add the location or the avenue where that idea should be applied.
I have a comment that goes right into what Ms. Richard said. The reducing of speed can be done by trees. It is proven, there are studies. And I've noticed it too. I'm at Cedar Street where there's a severe loss of trees every year, now last year too, 5 of them. And the speed is enormous now going up the hill. And I believe you can reduce speed in those areas around train stations and pathways where commuters go with trees. It's weird, but it actually works.
Thank you. So I see we only have a few post-its up on transportation, so please raise your hand if you have a post-it. Okay, one last comment on transportation, or we're moving on to the next topic? All right. Over there, back. Question right there.
When it comes to transportation, we agree they should have an enforced speed limit, but also I have a suggestion with the train stations. They should, because I see it in their shell, they should offer a shuttle service to and from the train station. For people who cannot do the hill, let's say in Mount Vernon, or walk to Mount Vernon west, or anything like that. And also, each train station should be able to have a taxi and cab stand. So if people do not, or cannot take the shuttle, they have an option of taking the train, from a train, shuttle, a cab, and or a bus.
Thank you. I hope you wrote that down.
Yes, I did.
So the next topic is sustainability and resiliency. And you know, that can be environmental health, climate change. Again, we're looking for challenges, opportunities, you know, energy savings, You wanna say, or give a definition of? Speak on it.
Um, there's really not a clear definition, but, like like Marlon was saying, anything from solar panel, like we know that one issue in the city was solar panel permits, how long it took. EV charging infrastructure, weatherization, having more community events regarding, education, around, weatherization, trees, even the way, the, city purchases things, there's certain things that's called a preferred purchasing, agreement, where, we are conscious of the way our vendors ship us what we order. It's a real broad, section. And storm preparedness, post-disaster recovery, how, for example, the, storm that we just had regarding how the city is responding to, down trees, down power lines. That's a multi-pronged effort though, between the city, the utility, yeah.
Thank you again, opportunities, challenges, things that you've seen, things that the city could be doing. Maybe even things that residents could be doing. There's the tree canopy. There's a lot of tree canopy within private property, whether it's commercial or residential, so. You have ideas about that? Any comments on sustainability? And resiliency?
Encourage public transportation, encourage biking, bike lanes, safe walking, so encourage pedestrian. Less lawns, native plants, and trees, obviously. And it would be great to see that we can move away from fossil fuels.
Any other comments?
So I know the city got a lot of money for like the Dole Center and the Armory from the county, et cetera. And I feel like in our municipal garages should have solar canopies on the garage, because then people aren't covered in snow or their cars aren't baked in the heat. These should be community solar projects for the neighborhoods. They should move over to heat pump with batteries for backup, because then they could be warming centers if the power was out. And then I don't think it's controversial. Oh, and the use of more permeable and pavement and permeable cement, like when an apartment building wants to do a parking lot or whatever, and then plan flooded areas like the Dutch do. They have parking garages, they have fields, and they plan them for them to flood, so that when the water does come in, it has a place they know it can go, it can be pumped out or. All right, thanks.
All right. One last comment?
Start thinking about creating our own nurseries. For instance, at the Mount Vernon High School, there is a big field with a lot of space that is not used for their activities. Start working with the Mount Vernon School District to make, collaborations. There's also a field at Steam that is barren, that could be used for educational tree growing training. And there's $1 million that came. I would like to see what's done with that. I would like to see a tree expert that is trained and certified.
Thank you. All right, so the next topic is wellness and community safety. So wellness and community safety is health, addressing violence, policing, safety, opportunities, challenges, things that you've seen in other cities, mental health, homelessness. So, social safety net, that could be
Services.
Services, you know, this could be services provided by the city, municipality, the county, or our nonprofit, network. So again, challenges, opportunities. And I think we'll start, you want to comment?
No, I just wanted to ask how, trying to hard to figure out how that applies to comprehensive plan, just applying that.
So,
comprehensive plan.
you know, you know, when you change, the demographics, the density, you know, that also impacts, you know, the need for social services.
Yes, sir. Services are important. It's not only services, community health and wellness, you know, just kind of what is provided, just do we need certain types of clinics, what kind of access, you know, what kind of challenges have arisen, you know, just given, not only change in population, but even, you know, change in economy and what's available. So it's just identifying what's there, and community safety, you know, also means just simple things in terms of, you know, just access to things. So if there's a way a certain place is designed, whether, you know, people are trying to cross the street, and are unable to, like some of these, I just want to be clear, some of these themes do overlap, like sustainability and open space can overlap. You know, safety and transportation can overlap, and housing, so these are just, some of the issues.
So wellness and open space can overlap as well.
Any additional comments? So raise your hand if you have city sector. All right, so we're on our last topic. Economic development, and as we stated before, you know, we're looking at different retail corridors. We're looking at industrial areas. We have, you know, the area around Quezon Parkway. We have the area where the DPWR is, so opportunities, challenges, new ideas around economic development. Comments on economic development? Well, that's right, okay, we'll come back to that.
So this is probably one we can agree on, especially with, new development that come in. But right now, there is, what's the one? East, west, or north of Prospect. For anybody on that side, no matter what corridor you want to shop at. So all that sales revenue goes to Yonkers, goes to Bronxville, it goes to Company. So we need somebody to bring something in. I mean, it's, you can go to the smaller stores for your fruits and vegetables and, but you need a major supermarket. From Prospect to Bronxville to Yonkers to Pelham. It just, it's necessary.
Thank you. And also, you know, this can also be economic development, could also mean comments about jobs, workforce development, types of business, and commercial or industrial zones. You have a comment here? Oh, like that one.
Hi, so I think we should use art. Hello, okay, hi. So I think we should use art to revitalize the neighborhood. There's several foundations that actually offer grants to do this, and you've seen it in Soho, you've seen it in Pittsfield, and Mount Vernon has areas such as Fourth Avenue that can actually be revitalized using art. So I think we should just follow those playbooks. Thank you.
I would like to focus on Fleetwood itself.
I've lived here a very long time and have seen Fleetwood change. I'm not sure that the commercial district in Fleetwood has changed for the better. What I do see is that there is a lack of enforcement as far as the sign ordinance on these storefronts. And I see the biggest perpetrator of non-maintenance is the CVS property. Between that store that is selling fruits and whatever else.
And garbage.
And absolutely, I complained years ago about the garbage infestation over there. And the CVS parking lot looks like Berlin after the Blitz. They do not maintain it. They maintain other facilities in other communities. I don't see any landscaping that's been maintained. And it really is not attractive. And we cannot attract businesses or residents here unless we have something that we can be proud of. And I don't think we're very proud of that property.
No, it's a mess.
Thank you, thank you. One last comment?
Speaking of pharmacies, the closure of the Rite Aid on Prospect Avenue near the Food Town was not just a loss to the residents and the people in the immediate neighborhood who used that pharmacy, and there's been a pharmacy on that property since Westchester Plaza was built. But for many of the people who are passing through the transportation hub, coming and going, and I've heard from a lot of people in the area that, you know, well, what's gonna replace it? I've gone to the property manager at Westchester Plaza, they don't know yet. But I think it would be to the city's benefit if, in working with the owner, if they could try to attract another pharmacy to take over that space, because it really served, I mean, thousands of people, not just Mount Vernon residents, but, you know, throughout town who pass through that, transportation.
Thank you. Thank you. So thank you all for your input. So as we said, the next part of this exercise is we're gonna invite you to visit one of the stations where you can continue conversation. You can comment on what's already been said, or you can comment and add more ideas and react to some of the things that your neighbors have said. So we're gonna take 10 to 15 minutes to do that. So I'm gonna pause, we're gonna come off the mic and give you an opportunity to walk up to the station. There's gonna be a staff person who will be there to answer questions or facilitate the conversation, but this is an opportunity for you to, again, challenge ideas, share ideas. So let's take the next 10 minutes to do that. So we have sustainability, resiliency in this corner, transportation, complete streets here. In the back, we have housing, community safety and wellness, open space, and economic development.
Okay, I have some with guard and then. Yeah. How do I find it out? That's where you can find it now. Okay. Okay, cool. Okay. Now, do you have a card?
Straight now.
Okay. No worries, no worries. I could be talking to you. Thank you again. Okay,
So, we work well with then an update on that. Partners, they have a business. Going in that direction. Yeah. Yeah, they have, they have an outpost. Yeah. That we were looking for more. And part of the story. Come up with an idea. We have some ideas.
Yeah.
There's thoughts about making partial. Yeah. That's kind of like all the time. Out somewhere, it's just like right. You've been here for 3 hours. Like, God, 7 o'clock already. It's like hanging out at 5. Moving around buying stuff. It's like, all right. Yeah.
But I like that.
So, like, yeah, no, I'm a big fan of that. So, yeah, it's typical with swings. I think I own big. Planning, but just like,
And the bar.
Yeah, we're close. So we did like so keep something open. Any member of any. Says it's an open season, but we're hoping that we. About 5 or 6.
I mean, it's always like this whole thing, I think there's sometimes curious understanding. Like, bring Trader Joe's here, nobody even, because it's like you have to. Line management, that makes business. Student cannot say. And a start.
Well, I was happy with the 11th hour.
Right, that's.
Yeah, it's like. It's like.
All you can do is for the city field, nice field. I mean, I think.
Because Target, you know, how much they got traded for. You know.
I mean, Target is a light. Sales tax.
Yeah.
That's pretty.
In terms of like some things that people want, like, you know, they're not the nice cafe, that you, not the.
It's like God.
I don't know, but I think.
Spot that.
But again, right?
The thing is, I was surprised by this.
So my wife is.
I'm late.
And. I say, yeah, but I think it's important to make sure this. Everybody wants to.
2 more minutes, 2 more minutes, the model is respectful and it's the college time. 2 minutes and we'll,
That's. Fetch.
Yes.
Yes. I don't feel safe. That's right.
I think that.
Now they have a, now they have a. Yeah. Well, actually.
Go out there real quick.
A little bit. Yeah. Thanks for the
Conversations have been robust, thorough, engaging, and exciting. As we convene.
Nothing going on.
Thank you, everyone. So we had an opportunity to hear at the different stations and, this is the important part of this process. We've been able to get your thoughts on paper. This information is gonna be, we're gonna type it up and, then pass it on to the consultant when the consultant is complete. Each community meeting that we have is gonna inform the document that we create. And, at some point, I think at the beginning, we mentioned that there will be a large workshop where you can come in and see some of the themes that are coming out of these community conversations. Because, we need to create, buckets and recommendations, that will inform the comprehensive plan. So, this information is important. We encourage you to talk to your neighbors. And because, the participation is critical and with so let me just ask, are there any questions about, what we did here today or the process? We got a couple of minutes for a couple of questions.
So at the end of the day, when all this gets in, you're talking about a consultant and then it goes into the council. Who at the end of the day do we hold, who's accountable for making stuff happen?
So even though you see our faces at every single meeting, we're the staff that facilitates it, but the city council is the lead agency, so they're the ones who are going to have to go through review and formally vote and formally adopt. There is an environmental review process that we need to do. There's a state requirement after we're finished with this process, so like we can have a draft of the plan, but it needs to pass environmental review to make sure all our recommendations are sound. That we're not proposing anything too egregious, outrageous, or something that would actually harm communities. And so once those two things are done, it's the city council and then state compliance.
Is there a way to collect?
Sorry.
I have a question, you said you go to city council, that you go to city, not run a city council with your ideas, and it's up to them to say yay or nay. Okay?
That's not how it is.
I know, but I'm just, all right.
Yeah.
What happens if they say nay? Do people again have a voice and say this is what we want? Because city council, universally does what they want.
You vote
Oh,
in. Yeah.
I didn't vote. I didn't vote.
Well, that's your personal choice, but it's part of the democratic process, but point being, is that if there are issues with what's being presented to them, they're being presented with a draft, and if it can be edited or improved, or has to go, certain parts have to go back to the drawing board, they can't. That's kind of what we did with the phase one, because the draft report that we received from the team, was not as cohesive as we wanted, so planning department with, a consultant that city council already has on retainer, reworked some, areas that were missed as part of these conversations. And so we tried to make sure they were included, or just certain areas were a little more clarified, because there were some misrepresentations.
Hey, I have a question. I'm assuming you type all this out in sort of a bullet point of what if this meeting was written on these tabs, right? You digitize it in some
Yes.
easily digestible form. Is there a way to put that online and possibly bring it to the next meeting? Because I feel like if people could see kind of like what other people said, it gives ideas and maybe sparks, and it would be great if we could see what other people, anonymously, whatever, just what other people said in the meeting, in case we didn't all get to read all this, is there a way to?
Yeah, so we do have a website, it's a most advanced website, it's envisionmountvernon.com, Envision NT Vernon. So it's not Mount spelled out, it's just NT, and so we post all our videos there, and just our notes as well. And so you'll be able to access it there.
No, all I wanted comments, no, I don't have a comment, but I just did want to say relative to the Fleetwood Neighborhood Association, that the business members are, there's a table here with just their names on it, and before you leave, just take a look and, let's shop locally. That's all.
Yes. So, next step, so thank you. First and foremost, thank you. You should give yourself a round of applause. Because there were a lot of folks out, I know some folks have left, but this was an extremely robust turnout. Thank you to the Fleetwood Neighborhood Association for helping us organize this, as well as the Fleetwood Synagogue. Our next community conversation, and we're being aggressive this April, is on April 18th. It's going to be virtual. It's sponsored by the Oakwood Heights Homeowners Association. So if to attend that one as well, you may. So you can just you can just log on and attend. It'll be a little easier. But again, envisionntvernon.com. Just to check for updates for the video of this to be posted, as well as if there are any possible changes. And there's any information, because I said, hopefully we do have our full consultant team on board by the end of the month. And we have all your contact information. And we're really excited that, we're continuing this process with you. It's really heartwarming and heartening to see that, there's so much interest. I know some folks just like, oh, it's 50, 60 people. Trying to get folks out to a community meeting on, a weeknight is not easy. And, we all know you speak to your neighbors. So we know that this word is getting out. And so just please encourage them to come out. If they can't come to this one, just encourage them to come to one that's coming up. We'll be doing this at least through June. So again, give yourself a round of applause. Thank you.
Thank you.